Hello, everyone. Hello, 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 hello. I know I'm a couple minutes late, but I got a message right here before when I was due to come on. I wanted to check it real quick. I hope everybody's doing well. Probably saying, are you sure this is Wednesday, Ed? Are you sure? You said this thing about doing this, moving it to Thursday. What's that all about? Just for this week. And I'm going to talk about that, of course. I'll let you in a little behind the curtain to tell you what was going on there. I don't mind doing that. But I'm doing good. And I see some people are already in here. Hello, Screaming. Screaming, getting off on the right foot here, reminding everybody to hit the thumbs up button as you are watching tonight or this evening or this morning, wherever you may be. I know that we've had viewers in the UK. We have viewers in Hong Kong, Australia. You just never know when people are going to tune in from. I think was it New Zealand? But right now it's 9:03 p.m. Eastern time in the United States. And so if you are watching, whether live right now at this very second, please give the video a thumbs up. Helps us with the YouTube algorithms. If you are not yet a subscriber to this channel, and you should be, please do that too. And if you are watching in the replay, the same rules apply. Like this video, give it the thumbs up. Just do it right now. Then you won't forget later when you become so engrossed in what I'm going to be saying tonight. And subscribe to the channel. And when we upload videos, like I did last week, I did a map video for last Friday's episode, and there's going to be a map for this Friday's episode. I'm going to do that tomorrow. You will be alerted immediately. And then, for example, in this live show, I think that it also occurs that when this live show comes on, I think a lot of you are like, oh yeah, you get the alert. Oh, that's right. It's Wednesday night. I got to tune in, see what Ed is up to tonight. So Screaming, thank you for reminding everybody for the thumbs up. Kathy, Low Live Show attendees, back this afternoon out of Bingtown for a week. Kathy, look at you. You just kick back, Kathy, tonight. I have the steering wheel tonight, so I'll drive. Hello, Karen, CR, Jill, Charlie Bravo, also known as Cherie, Jasmine, Cherie here. So many E's in that phrase. I know. 2 H's and 5 E's, Cherie. That's something. And so, in fact, the word here is right in the middle of your name. That's pretty cool. If you were like Cherie, if you were like some like pop music artist or something, I'm sure some marketing company would have come up with something like that. Being that Cherie is here or something like that. Here is Cherie, and like highlighting those middle letters of your name. That's interesting. All right. So maybe, what was it? Monday, I had stated, or maybe Sunday, I had stated that I literally just noticed that. You are so observant, Cherie. Anyway, yes, a couple days ago, I had plans to actually move this tonight's live show, this week's live show, to tomorrow. And I'm going to tell you why. I thought that I would be doing an interview for an upcoming episode tonight. And why, you're probably saying, well, why did it have to be tonight, Ed? Why couldn't it be tomorrow or last night? Why did it have to be Wednesday? Well, this mother has a missing daughter, and this mother works on a ship. A ship like a ship that goes out on the water to the point where you can't see land anywhere around. And so she doesn't always have cell phone service, although it does seem she gets emails, but of course, cell phone service, very sketchy. And I would not even want to take a chance on doing an interview over some sort of satellite phone or whatever they have on ships. And I can't even imagine the cost and everything else. So she was saying, and she told me that, well, we might be in port on Wednesday, but if you miss me that day, then it's maybe going to be another week, if not longer. And because the episodes and the work that being done for the episodes always take priority over anything else, over this live show, over the think tank, over any other things that I'm doing, anything going on with an episode that needs to be done gets priority always. Over disc golf, over trivia, over anything else, over sleep. And so I was like, well, I guess we'll have to do it Wednesday night then. But then she emailed me back and she said her ship got delayed and that her ship would not be getting into port till tomorrow. And so we could do the interview on Friday. And so that's what we're going to do. But I don't know if you know this, and I'm not going to tell you what the ship is and everything else, but she told me what the ship was, and there is a site called Ship Tracker or something, and you can go on there and track all sorts of cruise ships, cargo ships, yachts, all around the world. Just like there's Flight Radar 24, where you can follow the paths of commercial jets and maybe some private jets and helicopters. There is a thing for ships as well. So I have been checking in on her ship to make sure that it's going to be getting to its destination on time tomorrow on Thursday, so we can be sure that we're going to have some time to do this interview. And I'm excited about that. And so when she told me that she worked on a ship and what she does and everything, I was like, wow, that's interesting. That is a first. 250 interviews at least that I've done over the last 5 years. And this is the first time where I'm like, well, I'm watching a ship come into port because the person I'm going to be interviewing is on it. And so because her ship got delayed of where it was leaving and pushed everything back, I said, all right, that's fine. And so even though I'd already announced that this show is going to be moved to Thursday, and by the way, being that Shri is the moderator, I did ask her, Tuesday or Thursday, does it matter which day I was going to move it to? It didn't matter to her. And so I moved it to Thursday. And then when I figured out that, we weren't going to be able to do the interview till Friday, it's like, well, should I just leave it there or should I just do it on the regular night? And I was thinking about that yesterday. And, trivia Thursday evenings are usually trivia, but I could do trivia and get back here in time to do this live show. That is certainly possible. But I thought, I got enough time. I asked her if it was okay to move it back to Wednesday, and she said, fine. So that's why we're at our regularly scheduled day and time. Went to Thursday, came back to Wednesday. And so that's the reason. And I'm looking forward to interviewing her on Friday. And by the way, this will be the first Canadian case we've had in a while. So I am looking forward to that. So that's what's going on. So once again, you never know an interview is going to happen until it happens. As I've told you, some people do flake, but this mother has kept me informed on what's going on. And, so I am very, very hopeful. She's stuck to all the other arrangements that we've made, like as far as times and dates to talk and follow-up calls and everything. So I really believe that this is going to take place on Friday. Now, as far as episodes after next Friday, they are a little bit up in the air for reasons that I'll be getting into in this program. But otherwise, let's see what just noticed that. Hello, Panorama. First time watching live. Well, Panorama, welcome. Good to see you. Laward. I'm just going to say Laward. Howdy, all. Howdy to you. Jill says Ship Tracker is fun. It is fun, Jill. Shri says, I watch a YouTube channel that shows marine tracking. It's pretty cool. It is cool. I've done that before. I think I've done that, when my mother was still alive and before she had got what she did, she and my dad would go on some cruises and I would be able to follow their ships. This must have been 2014, 2013, 2015, something like that. And I would follow them back then. In fact, now that I think about it, even after my mom was diagnosed and was having her problems, she did go on a cruise with a friend of mine. And I think I followed that cruise on Ship Tracker too, I think. So what else is going on? Disc golf. I have a tournament this weekend. 1 round Saturday, 1 round Sunday over at a place called Picnic Island, which is over directly south of Tampa. It's out like on this little peninsula. There's like a Coast Guard station and a naval air station or whatever they call it down there. And it's a nice course. I don't go over there much because it's a little bit of a drive. But that's where I'll be playing 1 round Saturday, 1 round Sunday. There's only 7 guys in my division. I should finish at least 3rd. If I don't, I'm going to be ticked off. But that's what I have going on this weekend. As far as disc golf. This past weekend, I went and played with the club, and I ended up walking away with the highest bag tag yet, which means of the players who were there that day, I was one of the best throwers. There were 50-some players there, and not all the bag tags were available, but I got number 7. Of course, number 1 would be the best, but I don't think some of them were there because some people didn't show up. But that is certainly the highest bag tag that I've gotten this year. I started the year with number 10. And then after not playing some very good disc golf, I think I got down into the 60s. But this past Sunday, I got back to number 7, and I really didn't even play that well. I went OB once, some bad upshots. So we'll see. We'll see this weekend which Ed shows up, which Ed up here shows up. But this is, of course, Picnic Island, where I have traditionally played well. Better than I would ever expect, really. Why that is, I don't know, because I don't play there very often. And it's really not even that lefty-friendly of a course. Maybe it is a little bit. Maybe. But I don't play it very often. A lot of players think it's like the number 1 course in all of Tampa. I don't know about that, but I've always played there, and I know I would play there more if it was closer, but I have to go the whole way across the peninsula, south, stoplights, go across the Gandy Boulevard, the causeway, make a right, and then go down the whole way down to the bottom of the peninsula. It's crazy. And so, sometimes I wish maybe I should just get a hotel over there so I don't have to drive home each day. That's a little crazy, but because it's like a, I don't know, 40-minute drive, but it's just so many stoplights and everything. So that's coming up this weekend. And then the next weekend, I don't think I have any tournaments going on, but we'll talk about that next week. So I haven't really been playing much because I've been very busy. However, I do intend, whenever this interview happens on Friday, I do intend to go out and at least throw a little bit before Saturday. Let's see what, hello, Alice. Well, hello to you, Alice. Alice does live here. What is there a song or a movie? Alice doesn't live here anymore. Well, Alice is living here in the live show this evening. So hello, Alice. Cherie says maybe you will see Brian Laundrie over there at Picnic Island. Doubtful, Cherie. Doubtful. That's probably the last place he would want to be. Screaming, and I could knock him out with a throw of his disc. Yeah. Well, Screaming, I surely have come close to hitting people over the years. Moving on. Some of you, many of you, are followers. Yes, you like that one. That was good. I know you follow me privately on Facebook. And you know that last night I had a very unique post in that I discovered, and I talk about, a lot of my personal life on this, I don't, maybe mention it once in a while in the episodes. And sometimes I write about things on Patreon, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. But there was I can't call her girl. I mean, she was in her 40s. A woman who I kind of knew. And I would run into her once in a while, although it hadn't been recently, at a bar/restaurant in the area. I'm not going to name it or name her name or anything like that. But always real cool. Always got along with her. I would run into her once in a while when I would stop in there, not really planning to see her, but I would see her and then I'd talk to her. And I would go there sometimes for football games, like professional football games from a few years ago. Attractive woman. I thought had a lot of good things going on. Very soft-spoken and everything. Kind of interested in her. Things never quite could line things up. But I found out she died last month. Not going to go into all the specifics of how I found that out, but I found out not intending to find out. And it turns out, I guess, in looking at, in finding out, it turns out that she had a boyfriend anyway, which fine. But it's really weird. Of course, people are dying all the time, and we know that people, I've had some of my classmates from high school die. The girl who graduated second in my high school class, I guess the salutatorian. She wasn't the valedictorian. That was a guy named Sam. But her name was Alice. Alice, there you go, Alice. But her name was Alice, and she was the salutatorian of my high school class, 1989. She died of cancer a few years ago. So I realize, people are dying all the time and they don't have to be 85 years old. But it was shocking. I don't know what happened. I did kind of get the idea that, she might have been a little troubled. Some things going on with her. I kind of always got that feeling from her. There's always some drama going on. I do not believe she was murdered or anything. But I don't know how she died. Unfortunately, it might have been COVID. I suppose that's possible, but I can't rule out that, it might have been a suicide or something. Just, you can never tell. But it was really a shock to me, and very sad. And I saw her picture with her boyfriend that he had posted on Facebook. Once again, not getting into names or anything. And, it seems like he has taken it obviously very hard too. So you just never know I mean, I saw it. I was like, and my mouth went, very natural. It wasn't like a put on or anything. I'm just sitting here at home by myself, but my mouth just dropped for about a minute when I saw it. So there's that. So if you're wondering, I know I posted that, I forget exactly what I wrote, but when you're just happened to find out, you're interested in her, just things didn't work out. And you never, you thought you might run into her again. If I went over, the place where she worked, not once again, one of those places that is not convenient to where I live. I mean, of course, everything, unless you're going to the beach, everywhere else is not convenient where I live. So I hadn't seen her in a while. I hadn't been over there in a while. Didn't really know what she was doing. And then boom, there it is. So very sad. I hope she rests in peace. Just really shocking. That is a first for me. Now I've had, I had a young woman who I worked with at Star Trek, who I knew. Her name was Barbara, who committed suicide. But I just don't have a lot of people, around my age who I knew well, who died, from something. So that's probably why this is like really sticking out to me. So there you go. Laward, Leanne Newby. Okay. Leanne Newby. All right. Good, Leanne. David, what are your thoughts on Leanne? David, I don't know. Bone situation in New Hampshire. We've, David, I talked about that. I have my, you're asking me if that's Mara Murray. I have my doubts. I talked about that a couple weeks ago, David, when it first came out. In fact, I think it was my assistant Cherie, who's the moderator for the show all the time, who told me about it. I have severe doubts that it's Mara Murray. There's other people who have gone missing in that area who disappeared much, 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 much closer to Loon Mountain than Mara Murray did. So that's what I go by until I hear new information. Cherie says, what? Oh my God. Yeah, that's true. You didn't see that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Cherie, you're not on Facebook anymore. Sorry. Yeah. There was a young woman who I was interested in. I think she was 48, 47, 48, something like that. She did not look her age, though. She looked very young for her age. I would have never guessed. She looks like she was in her 30s. And at least the last time I saw her. And yeah, Cherie, she died somehow. So thank you, Leanne. So that's the story behind that post if you saw it on Facebook last night. Moving on to other stuff. Health stuff. My dental journey begins on Monday. I'll be going in to get this tooth right here is going to be prepped. I'm going to be getting a crown on one. I'm going to be getting a root canal on another one up here. But the journey starts on Monday. I have an appointment October, whatever that is, 4th. And then I have another appointment October 20th. And then I'm going to get a root canal done on tooth number 14 up here. November something, in the middle of November. And then I'm going to get something done in December. And I think that I should be done. So I have 29 teeth of my 29 of my teeth are great and 3 are not. 2 up here and 1 down here. And but that journey begins on Monday, and I cannot wait for it to be over. And it's not cheap. In fact, for this month's newsletter, which will be coming out soon, I don't mind telling all of you that the cost for all of this is going to be like $6,000 some dollars or something. But had I had dental insurance this whole time, that's probably about what I would have paid in deductibles. So I guess in a way it all works out one way or the other. I'll probably get on a no interest plan and pay it off in a year or something. Who knows what I'll do? But I knew it wasn't going to be cheap. It was due. I mean, There's no way I thought I was going to be able to live. If I want to live to be 85, there's no way that I thought, that I could not go to the dentist for the rest. I know that sounds nasty, but I actually have really good teeth. Um, I think your average person, if they don't go to the dentist for 11 years, that would have a lot more problems than my problem. My problems. So, uh, sooner or later I was going. I guess it just ended up being sooner. So that's fine. So I go to the dentist on Monday morning to start that. And trust me, if I'm the type of person that, they're gonna of course, give you the anesthesia and everything so you don't feel any, of course. But I've told them, if you just want to put me under, and I don't think they can do that there. It's not like an oral surgeon place. Like when I got my 2 wisdom teeth pulled, they put something in your arm, they put that mask over there, and they tell you to start counting back from 100, and you don't even get to 99. And then you wake up and it's done. It was awesome. Sign me up for getting any wisdom teeth like that done anytime. Of course, I'm done with that. I just wish they could do all dentistry like that. Just knock me out. Just knock me out. I don't have to hear anything. I don't have to see anything. I don't have to feel anything. And it's over like that. 2 hours from now, I'll wake back up and boom, it's done. Man, that would be so sweet. But that's not what's going to happen. And then on Tuesday, I get my yearly checkup with my doctor. I got like the most laid back, coolest doctor that I've ever had. Dr. Kareem, he's cool. And, I think he's going to notice that I've lost quite a bit of weight. And he's probably going to be glad to hear that I've changed my eating habits quite a bit. And so that hopefully I went and got the blood drawn like a week ago, so it could be tested. I get blood test checked once a year, like cholesterol and all that stuff. But I feel fantastic. I really do. I mean, really, this tooth thing that popped up, how long ago was it now? 2.5 weeks ago or something? Seems like yesterday. I didn't really even have that bad of asthma this year from allergies. So, I'm hoping, for good stuff. I feel great. I don't know what my blood pressure is. I sleep like a log. Horrible cliche there, Ed. So, I don't know. We'll see. He's going to check my body. Skin cancer does run in my family. So we'll get that checked. But, I check myself pretty well. The only tough thing is seeing my back. So he's going to check that all out and we'll see. But, you got to go do this stuff. Now, my sister has had some things taken off over the years. My brother Brian, even very recently, has had a couple, things cut out and everything. But of course, he had prostate cancer like 8 years ago. So we got some of this stuff going on, but I'm hopeful that I'll have a very positive journey to the doctor. So dentist on Monday, doctor on Tuesday. So what's everybody saying here? David says he's doubtful about the bones too. Yeah, David. I remember you mentioning her before. Makes me sad. Yeah, Sheree, maybe I have mentioned her to you before. Yeah, very sad. Striking to see her. Kind of. She had a very unique appearance, attractive. Unique, and like I said, just really would not have guessed she was around. I don't know if she had any work done or anything, but would not have guessed that she was like 47, 48. And she was very cool, very laid back and everything. It's very sad, but I think she had some personal stuff going on. Alistair, I believe Mara's sister said it felt different this time, but who knows? I'm sure they would love some closure of some type. Yeah, well, Alistair, if you listen to the program, we don't go a lot by feelings and things. I get that, it's very conflicting times. On one hand, they hope that the mystery is over, but on the other hand, they don't hope that the mystery is over because it means she's deceased. But if she's not found, they can always hang on to that hope that she is still alive out there somewhere, as some people believe, by the way. So, you know me if you listen to the program. I'm just looking at, as soon as Shree told me about it, I went and looked on NamUs and tried to figure out if there were other disappearances in the area. And the answer is yes. And so I'm more inclined to believe it's one of those people. I forget now what I think there was maybe two guys and one woman, or two women and one guy's, or maybe three guys. I don't remember, but it seems to me the number was 3. New Hope says, yes, seriously, knock me out for dentist. Absolutely, New Hope. Absolutely. Yeah. Kathy, dental insurance usually doesn't cover much. The cost for one day's dental work can be $3,000. Yeah, I know, Kathy. I've gotten the bill. The bill is sitting over on my counter right now. And at least that I will, once again, I have no problems with this place. They've been very nice. Knew it was going to be expensive. But as soon as this happened and I knew I was going to be going back, it was just like, you know what? Let's just get this done. Let's just get it done. Whatever it is, let's just get it done. Put me on a plan, one thing a month, and I'll figure out how to pay for it because, I'm trying to look at this as an investment, not an expense. I know that, if I plan to be around here for 30 years, it's best to have my real teeth and not have dentures or something like that. So I'm looking at this as an investment, even though it's not necessarily like buying stocks that you hope are going to go up. You spend the money now so you don't have problems later. And in addition to everything else, if you do have tooth issues, that can lead to other issues with other parts of your head and, and elsewhere. So, but yes, dental insurance. I haven't had dental insurance since I worked at Star Trek. And that's how I got this root canal done, which I don't remember paying a lot for that. But working at Star Trek, you were technically working for Paramount or Viacom, and they had great plans. And I got a lot of stuff done when I worked there for 4.5 years. I took advantage of it. Shree says, I never had any wisdom teeth, and 2 out of 3 of my kids didn't either. Strange. I think it is genetic. Shree. I got, what happened was this one started bothering me in late 2005. It was coming in and it was no good. It was a pain. So I got that one taken out. And then about 2 months later, I got this one taken out. And these two up here are there. And I saw them on their X-ray. They're just impacted. I don't even know they're there. I don't believe they'll ever give me a problem. Yeah, screaming. Just a reminder, hit the thumbs up button. Hello, little bit. What's going on, a little bit? That's all right. And you did not miss Brian. I'm still talking about personal stuff a little bit. Yeah. So you did not miss that little bit. It's okay. So I got a health stuff going on. And then finally, of the personal stuff, did everybody go and get their lottery? Powerball. It's up to disgusting territory. Up to $570 million. If you live in a non-income tax state, that means you'll probably get about half that. So 285 million after taxes and everything else. Might be all right. Might be okay. So I went and got my ticket. I play the same numbers every time. And that drawing will be happening in less than an hour and a half. The Mega Millions one, somebody in New York hit that, and I'm not happy about it, but what are you going to do? So, but did you see this story about this guy who hit the lottery in Michigan? Not for $1 million. I think it was $45,000 or something. And he fell off his boat or something and died before he could cash it in. Did you see that story? I posted that on my regular Facebook feed. That is bad luck right there. But on the other hand, I also saw another lottery story that I posted that some woman in South Florida, she won $1 million twice on 2 separate tickets on the same day or something. It was some crazy, crazy, crazy odds of it happening. She didn't get the big money, but I posted that story as well. So the ups and downs of playing the lottery. So this guy in Michigan, when they found him deceased, they found the winning lotto ticket in his pocket. It's crazy. It's crazy. I think, like I said, I think he was on his boat and he slipped and fell or something and hit his head and then fell into the water. So had he not fallen into the water, he might have lived. He just got knocked out. He got knocked out and went into the water. Which, dare I say it, being that I've been known to cover a disappearance or two, we can never rule that out in some of these disappearances. If we have drunk people and, are they walking along, they slip, hit their head, and had they landed on the land, might have just been, somebody comes along and they would have lived and maybe get picked up by an ambulance and that's it. But you hit your head and go into the water. That's bad news. So, hello, Sharon. Last night, late tonight, but I saw you last night being interviewed. It was a great show. I'm going to be talking about that you mean the interview that I did? My assistant Natasha interviewed me for her own program. Yeah, we had a fun time with that on Saturday. We had some technical issues that we had to figure out for a little while, but I thought it went really well. I have to admit that it went for 53 minutes and it seemed like it went like that. I watched it afterwards and I'm looking, it was like 53 minutes. Like, well, did she add something to this or anything? And it was us the whole time. So who would have thunk it? All right. So that's some of the personal stuff. Let's move on. Nicholas Shinn poll. Last Friday, we covered the disappearance of Nicholas Shinn from Ripley, West Virginia. I also did a YouTube video. I hope you checked it out. And I also hope that you found it to be helpful in understanding the locations. Now, you should know that Nikki afterwards told me that even though Google put the apartment complex where it did in that map, technically the apartment complex is about 100 yards north of there. I don't know how much that makes a difference. I mean, the building is still very close to the creek, but I just want all of you to understand that I don't know why Google got it wrong. I have no idea. But the actual apartment complex is, like I said, 300 feet north of that. Not 300 yards or 300 miles, 300 feet, football field north of there. And it is a little closer to the creek than the point that was on the map. But I have to admit, I'm not sure how much that really makes a difference in everything. But Nikki did tell me that. Once again, why Google got it wrong, I think that's very, very rare for that to happen. Why it got it wrong, I don't know. I've never seen that before. So as far as the Nicholas Shinn poll, I offered a variety of choices. Of course, foul play, that murdered inside the house. He walked off on his own, went into the creek by accident, went into the creek on purpose, a variety of choices. And the discussion group, I guess I shouldn't be surprised by this, decided that yes, Nicholas Shinn was murdered in that house, I guess by Jonathan and or others. I can't argue with that theory. It's not my personal theory, but I don't know if there are any facts to contradict that. In the think tank, totally the opposite. It's one of those situations, once again, and I want to talk about this. Once again, in the think tank on Sunday evening, patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. If you'd like to become a think tank member, please consider joining us on patreon.com. You can check that out. Get some books. Get to read a bunch of blogs that I write every week. A lot of stuff goes on there in the think tank, in the think tank and on Patreon. But it's amazing to me how often this happens. That the discussion group thinks, yep, it was murder. Think tank, almost to a person, nope, not murder. Maybe there might have been one person in the think tank that thought murder was a possibility, but everybody else did not think that. And I actually wrote about that in the blog for Nicholas Shinn's case because Spleen says, I don't think it was murder. Okay, that's fine, Spleen. Good to see you, by the way. Thanks for tuning in. What's interesting to me is that oftentimes, since I started doing the polls, which they've been going on, I don't know, for a while now, 3 years or something. And of course, the think tank, I think, started at the beginning of 2019. You do not know how many times. I mean, I try to talk about it on the live show, but I don't know if you've been keeping track. I haven't been keeping track. But how many times the discussion group thinks murder and the think tank doesn't think that at all? That happens quite a bit. Now, oftentimes there are times when there is agreement between the two, often. But there are often times also when the discussion group is very, very, very murder on the side of murder, and the think tank's the complete opposite. What's interesting to me is it's never the opposite, where the discussion group thinks accident, suicide, went off to start a new life, and the think tank thinks murder. It's never that way. It's always if it's going to be that way, it's the opposite. Why is that? I think there's a couple things going on here. I think one of them is that, the thing about the discussion group is when you vote there, everybody can see how you voted. And I think that there maybe is a little pressure going on there that some people, they want to vote, they want to take part, but they don't want to put suicide or something like that because they know their name's going to be attached to it. And they also know that many of the guests who are on Unfound are in the discussion group. And there is a stigma regarding disappearances that could be just walk-offs and suicides, things like that, accidents. And I think it's just easier for people. They want to take part, but they pick, and they may not think that way, but they pick murder anyway. Why? Because they know kind of that they're being watched. Not by me. I'm not watching them. I want them to be honest. But I think that's part of it. Whereas in the think tank, it's as private as anything we do here. That we do it on YouTube. It's an unlisted link. Only people, the particular Patreon members have that link. And truthfully, if I were ever to find out that somebody was sharing those links or something, I'd be very upset. So, because we want that freedom to not be judged, not worry about what people are going to say, and all eyes on me when I say something and I come up with a theory and that's going to stick with me forever and everything. We don't have any of that in the think tank, and I think that allows people to be I'm thinking a little more honest. I think the other part, the reason it's so often that the discussion group says murder and the think tank doesn't, is because I'm not sure when people pick murder that they really, really think through everything. And I think, that is certainly something we do in the think tank. And of course, me being the person who leads it, I try to make sure that happens. We do talk about different theories. We do talk about suicide theories. And I try to give it all a chance. But when it comes to murder, I really try to break it down. Well, then how did this happen? And how did that happen? And what went on here? And if it was a murder, then why was this and why that? And when you do that, you start to see that how tough it made it. On the surface, it seems like, oh yeah, I can certainly believe this. But when you start getting it really and breaking things down in the nuts and bolts and everything, it's just not as clear. And then murder starts to look like a little more difficult. And so I suspect that people listen to the episodes, and when they vote, that it's very knee-jerk reaction. I don't know how many people really get deep, deep, deep into their own theory and thinking about these things like we do in the think tank. That's my two theories regarding that's all I got. Like I said, what sticks out to me is it's never the opposite. Never does the discussion group say, "Oh yeah, it was an accident," and the think tank says, "Oh no, it was certainly murder." That's never happened. Whereas the opposite happens often, and it's interesting for me to watch. Kathy says, many of us in the think tank have studied disappearances for a long time or experience. That could be it, Kathy. You certainly, with your background, we won't get in necessarily what that is, but you certainly have an investigative background, which I think helps. Cherie says, think tankers follow more cases generally. That could be. I really don't know that. I know a lot of listeners follow a lot of cases, but it very well may be the it very well may be that being in the think tank puts pressure on people to, really, when they know that they want to, of course, they're paying to be in there and, and be helpful and everything. There may be some competitive pressure there. They want to come, a lot of smart people in there. So you got to bring your A game when you come to the think tank. And maybe that could be part of it too. Could be. I wouldn't say there's a competitive atmosphere, but in there, it's certainly not. It's a team atmosphere. But I think we're all impressed when somebody comes up with something that nobody's thought of and an interesting way of looking at something, and everybody wants to be part of that. They want to do that kind of thing too. So it very well may be that because of that, the people who are in the think tank, once again, patreon.com/unfound podcast, do take maybe a deeper interest in it because they know that they're going to be taking part and they want to say smart stuff. That's very possible. Kathy says I tell it like it is. So that's the Nicholas Shinn poll. Discussion group says he was murdered. Think tank says nope. And in fact, leaning toward the idea that, young men, young jilted men being, they sometimes don't make the greatest decisions when it comes to rejection. And having been a young man at one time, I know a little bit like that. In fact, I write about that in the blog for Nicholas's Patreon blog that I wrote. 3,800 words, by the way. And I reveal, I didn't get real into death, but I can think of 2 times in my life. One when I was 22, and another when I was 26, where there were just a couple things that I wasn't very mature. Had a lot of growing up to do, and just did not react to. I didn't, I didn't do anything illegal or immoral or anything else, but it was just me thinking about myself, who I am, and everything else. Very negative talk toward myself, which I still do these days, but only on the disc golf course. And so I kind of know what that's like. And I haven't been like that for a very, 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 very long time. So if that's what was going on in Nicholas' head, and if we might be able to, maybe they were drinking a little bit, maybe there was a little drug use going on, and maybe just the way he thinks about himself, a lot of things are possible, unfortunately, and all of them bad. So there you go. Marlene says, good evening, everyone. Finally got in. Well, it's about time, Marlene. I was wondering, I was just thinking, where is Marlene? And there she is. All right. Of course, we've got the 1st of October coming up, which means rent time for me. Yeah. And it also means that the next newsletter will be coming out. I started writing it this evening. Got about 600 or 700 words in before I came to do this show. So the newsletter will be coming out. Get to talk about all sorts of stuff that has happened and will be happening regarding Colorado and the speaking engagement I'll be having here in a couple weeks, less than 2 weeks. Now, I can't believe it, but I'll be talking about that a little later. So I got a lot to write about, and it will surely come out Friday, probably Friday night. What I try to do with this, I try to break the writing up. I don't try to do like 3,000, 4,000 words in one day, although I am certainly capable of that. I try to do it like 1,200 words a day. Today, tomorrow, Friday, it's done. So I still have a little writing to do before I go to bed tonight. Next, as my assistant Cherie texted me today telling me that I got a mention on John Lordan's show. There was like an update show or something. It was only like 7 or 8 minutes long, but he talked about me going to Greeley, Colorado here in a few weeks, which I'll be once again talking about. Do I have that on the, no, I can talk about that right now. But he talked about, I got mentioned very late in this 8-minute show. He announced that I would be going there to testify. And I wanted it. I actually emailed him, told him, and I really found it humorous how he wrote it, because I have to admit, in a way, that's what I was thinking too. He said something like, and for some reason, Ed will be going to to Colorado. And when he said that, I actually laughed out loud. And I emailed him and told him that. And, I'm not being flippant or anything. I guess seriously, I know, and I've told you why I think that they wanted me to come out there. I think it's because, and as I've talked about this before, that, well before until I got contacted a month ago, or not even a month ago now, not yet anyway, about having this first meeting with the DA in Greeley, Colorado. The only reason that I could have seen that I would have ever been involved in the trial is because I did this interview, and there were things that Steve said in the interview that contradict what he has said other places. And if that is certain, and so my guess is that's kind of the thing. I really don't know. I really don't know. And I will tell you that it has not come up in any discussion with the DA, so I think I can freely talk about this. So I think that's it. And so they need to establish that there was no funny business behind the scenes or any editing, and how this interview came about and everything else. Now, that's the serious side. But it is, on the other hand, funny that John would put it that way, because I have to admit there's maybe a little part in the back of my mind that was kind of that same way too. But when I do think about it, I can certainly see why they have requested for me to go out there. Of course, they're paying for everything. I'm not flying myself out there and everything. And so I will just go out there and tell the truth, and that's what I'll do. So, but just the way he put it, it was kind of funny. Maybe some of my people might listen to it and think that it might have been in a little real, and for some reason, I didn't take it like that at all. So if you've listened to it and you thought that was a weird comment that he made, not weird at all. Funny and truthful. which is always nice. Um, and I think I don't want to jinx anything, but I have brought up to John. Of course, we did something the Jason Landry coverage early this year, and I have mentioned to him that after the trial is over, no matter what happens, that maybe we can get together because he's had a bit of interaction. He had a little bit of interaction with Steve Pankey 2 years ago too, because Steve became a Patreon supporter for John's show. And although I'm not sure they ever talked, maybe they had some emails back and forth. I don't even know. But John has talked about finding out who Steve was and then giving that Patreon money back or donating it or doing something with it. Whereas I have to admit, I think that Steve only supported Unfound through Patreon for a couple months. And I didn't give the money to anybody simply because if he wants to pay for his own demise, then he should be allowed to do that. So that was my thinking. That's John's thinking is different, and that's fine too. But we have talked about getting together, and I've brought it up to him of after the trial is over, which I don't know how long the trial is really going to be. I am due to be there from the October 20th to the 23rd. How many days after that is it going to go on? I don't know. But after it's done, and it's clear that Steve is guilty or not guilty, maybe there'll even be a hung jury. That would be interesting. That John and I will get together and discuss it. I don't know if it would be, I just brought it up. I don't know exactly the form that it will take. But being that he's been connected to it a bit, I am connected to it quite a bit. Maybe we can make something happen in November. We'll see. And you should also know it's interesting on that topic that on the topic of John, that the disappearance we're covering this Friday is one that he covered like 2 years ago, right after it occurred. And I was talking about that before the show is over. The other thing regarding Steve Pankey, Janelle Matthews' murder and all of that, I did get an article sent to me, and I then posted it in the group and I think on the page. Did I get Natasha to put it on the website? I can't remember. But it doesn't mention me by name, but it does mention the podcast where Steve did an interview. And it seems that his Steve's defense attorney is trying to get a part of that interview redacted or blocked or censored or something, so it cannot be brought up in the trial. Part of it, the way I understand the article, is that didn't like toward the end when I said to Steve. I don't know if any of you have listened to the interview recently. I've listened to parts of it. I've actually listened to the entire ending after the interview was done, but I am going to, of course, listen to the entire interview from beginning to end before now. And I have to, go on the stand in Greeley, Colorado. I've got to do that. But there was a part toward the end where I said, Steve, if you didn't do it, I hope they find who did it. And if you did do it, I hope you were prosecuted to the full extent of the law. His defense attorney tried to get that fullest extent of the law part out. I don't think he successfully argued for it to be taken out. I think he said that he wanted that taken out, not be played for the jury because I am not an expert. But I don't think he successfully made that. And so I'm still not sure if the jury's going to hear the entire interview, parts of it. I don't know. I guess the interview's 3 hours, and and as I've said last week or whenever, it is something funny to me that, there have been complaints over the years about some of the audio for some of the interviews that I've done. And I know that I could do better on some of them. We had some, at the time of Steve's disappearance, that was right when Android apps, call recording apps stopped working. And I really had to, I don't even know what I did, but the audio is not the greatest. Obviously, it was good enough for 48 hours to rip it off, but certainly not one of the greatest recordings I've ever done. Certainly, the recordings I'm doing these days with the whole new setup are much better. Thank goodness. I had the thing is, I had that interview recording stuff down to a science. 2018, I thought 2017 finally got the right recording app and all of that, and following all the rules and laws and everything. Finally got it down. And then all of a sudden I get an update to my Android phone. I think it was the V30 at the time. And all of a sudden all the apps stopped working. And it happened right around then in October of 2019. So I had to, I forget what I did. So, it's really funny then to me now that probably one of the worst audio recordings that I've done for the program is now the most famous. There is some sort of irony there. And so these listeners or these jurors, I guess, are going to have to listen to that. And I'm sure some of them are going to be like, what did he do? Record this like on a 1930 era reel tape or something. Sorry. But yes, there was an article. He's trying to get some things taken out. And in that same article, like I said, I posted it, I think in the group and on the Facebook page. I don't know if I posted it on Twitter. I have to check with Natasha and see if it's on the website. I don't know. If it's not there, I will get it put up. But even the DA in that article, when the defense attorney is saying, well, we want to get this taken out and that taken out, the DA says, it was Steve who asked for the interview. And that is 100% true. And I can say to this day, without a doubt, had Steve not contacted me, I would have never interviewed him. Now, it very well may be that we would have, in the last 2 years, maybe if Janelle had not been found, I guess we might have, it's always possible that we would have covered her disappearance. I guess that's possible. But I can assure you, with her remains being found in July, that would have surely ruled out Unfound ever covering the case at all. And it was Steve contacted me. I did not contact him. And I've given you all how that worked. So I hope you saw that article. The part involving Unfound, although the name of the podcast and myself are never mentioned, is toward the end of that article. And allow me to say that the DA, my understanding of what he said in that article regarding my interview with Steve and everything is exactly right. That's all true. So there you go. What's everybody saying here? Karen says hair trim time. What you talking about, Karen? Sharon says, I saw that too. That you saw the John Lawrence. Yeah, I kind of laughed too. Yeah, there you go. Yes. Shri says, really only reason the DA would call you up and not the defense. Contradictions. I that's the best I can do on it. Why you don't have to be an expert to want somebody prosecuted to the fullest extent. Seems so ridiculous to argue over something so trivial to me. I don't know. You can hear the guilt clearly. I guess, Sheree. I guess. So, we'll just have to see. That's the tough thing about reading news is that, everybody puts their own feeling into it and stressing certain words. I mean, it's the preferred way that for me getting news, but, some people just prefer to watch videos on it or TV or whatever. I prefer to read it. Some people are different. Let's move on to this. Speaking engagement coming up 2 weeks from yesterday in Northwestern State University, and I'm going to kill the name of this town again, Natchitoches, Louisiana. October 12th, I'm going to be talking to 2 classes. Both of them are an hour and 15 minutes long. I'm hoping that it's like an hour of me talking and everything, and then 15 minutes of questioning and questions, and I'll take questions throughout. But I got the PowerPoint presentation done. No fun at all. I'm using LibreOffice's presentation, part of its program. Not the easiest program to set up. It is a PowerPoint program, and I think now that I have everything set up, it's fine. But getting all the words typed in there and everything else, that was way more work than I thought it would be. And of course, the outline is long, but it's just words. But there's just the copying and pasting was just not very smooth, but I got it done. And it's on this computer over here, my Dell. And so I'll be taking that to there, hook up to their screen or whatever. And I'll be standing there. I ordered a pack with a mic, and I'm going to be testing that, of course, before we get up there. And I'm looking forward to it. It's a long drive. From here to Natchitoches, it's 13 hours, but we gain an hour because we're going into the central time zone. My brother Brian will be coming with me. I've already arranged the room where we're staying. And he's going to be my audio and video guy. So I'm going to bring my tripod, which is over in the other room. And he'll be in charge of making sure it gets videoed correctly. I'm just going to use my phone. Of course, I'll be practicing before we leave. And it's going to be a little bit of everything. And I'll get to talk about it when I come back. I think the plan is to leave Monday morning, get there Monday evening, do the show, do the classes on Tuesday, and then leave right after that and come directly back. So won't get back to like 4 a.m. or something. But with both of us driving, my brother and I, it should be fine. And I appreciate him. I asked him, and I appreciate him coming along. And it'll be a good road trip. It'll be good to have a family member there for the first time I ever get to speak to a class, because this is a long time coming. So that'll be October 12th. And going to be talking about really some different, the major kinds of disappearances. And then I'm going to be talking about the problems with the investigation of disappearances right now. Going to be using a lot of unfound examples in each of those different kinds, and had some pictures there and everything. And then I'm going to talk about what some fixes could be. And then at the end, I'm going to go, if I have time, a little more in depth on some of Unfound's disappearances and a couple different kinds of disappearances. And then we'll see what time we have left. Hopefully there'll be time for questions. Hopefully there will be questions. And but I got it all lined up. I'll practice, but I've been doing this for 5 years, and I think many people who watch this live show know that I can talk about a lot of this stuff right off the top of my head. You always see me looking over to my left. I do very few notes for these live shows. I have an outline, but all I need is a few words, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I'm going to talk about. And it's like when I do the update episodes, I don't type that all out. It's just a few words about each disappearance that I want to talk about, and that's it. So that's what I'll be doing there. It'll just be a few words. It'll be up on the screen so they understand what I'm going to be talking about, and then I can just elaborate from there. And then, of course, the next speaking engagement will be November 4th down at Nova Southeastern, and I will get to meet Dr. Telesco for the first time, which is Fantastic. So there you go. Julie asks, do you know if your testimony will be on TV, like on Law and Crime Network? Julie, it's funny you mentioned that. Cherie and I've talked about that, and Cherie surely knows more about that channel or Court TV or whatever it is more than I do. But Cherie, what did you say? You said if it's going to be on there, they usually give 2 weeks advance notice or something like that. I think you said. You could type whatever the actual answer is there, please, Cherie. But I also get the idea that, I don't know how probable that is, Julie. No disrespect, of course, to Janelle or Janelle's family or anything, but that's not even really what I mean. But Cherie has led me to believe that Colorado, due to COVID and everything, is one of those states where I'm just not sure they're doing any filming for any trials at all there now. Maybe if it was a different state, maybe. So I think that's more of a consideration, Julie, than the case itself. So I just don't know. You would think, I think under normal circumstances, Julie, that, and then Cherie, thank you. So that's right. Cherie, thank you, everybody. Of course, I think most people know Charlie Bravo is my assistant, Cherie, who does the moderating, and she's up on this stuff. And she's saying what I'm saying is correct. That it certainly is the type of case I think that they would cover. Because a little girl is missing for 35 years and it's discovered she was murdered. And then Steve himself, say what you want about him, but he is a compelling person. He does make good TV. But I think because of COVID and everything, I just don't know. So anything that I will get to be able to say about it probably will just be my experience, that none of you will be able to DVR me or anything like that. That's pretty much what I expect right now. Puma says, love that look on your face, Ed. No haircut needed. What look on my face, Puma? What look? Maybe the look that that John Lorden put on the one. I don't know what look you mean, but that's I try to be very expressive with my face, Puma, because that's the only thing you can see here. Charlie Shree says that article was definitely talking about Unfound. Yeah, certainly. And once again, anybody who hasn't seen that article, please go find it in the discussion group where it talks about a variety of things regarding the trial. Then at the end about that podcast. Yes, Karen, I'm glad Brian's going too. I'm glad he's making a couple days for me. We haven't been on a road trip. Wow, forever. Hello, Jill. Puma says Colorado did air the red wine case on Law and Crime. But Cherie in response says more few and stock, both high profile, no cameras allowed. We will definitely keep tracking it though. Yeah, like I said, I think it would be one under normal circumstances that they would put on. I think it certainly helps that 48 hours covered it this past March. Just don't know if medically that's going to happen. I don't even know. I haven't even checked to see what the mask rules and everything are in Colorado now. I haven't even looked at that yet. Here in Florida, I can tell you pretty much it's like COVID isn't even going on. You do see people with masks here and there, but where did I have to wear a mask? I had to wear a mask. Where did I go? I wore a mask when I went to go get my blood taken last week. That was the first time I wore a mask probably in a couple months here in Florida. All right, let's move on. I got to talk to the documentary filmmaker David Fine on Monday morning. If you remember him, he was the guy. He's still doing this documentary on Megan Good, now Megan Lyonez, from The Charlie Project. And yes, he's still working on it. Now, some of you, I don't know how many of you were around over 2 years ago, but David started doing this documentary about Megan, who started the Charlie Project and does it all on her own. And David found out about me. He came down to Florida and he filmed me in July of 2019. So it was the reason I remember it was right around it was the same week, I think, that my buddy Doug and I were going to the Iron Maiden concert. So that was a big week. And it was right around the same time that I drove to Amarillo for that meetup. And then I met Penny and the rest of Tom Brown's family. Well, that's when he was here and he interviewed me, got me on camera. We filmed it down on the second floor in this group room where they have meetings and things down there. But he's still working on it. And also when he was here, he got to, I arranged him to meet some of the guests who had been on the Unfound at the time, who live in the area, and he got together with them and talked to them and filmed them. Well, he's still working on this, and he wanted to ask me some follow-up questions, some other stuff. I really don't think I'm at liberty to get into it, but he's still working on it. I don't know how close he is to being done, but all of you must understand that this is usually the way documentaries go. They usually take some years to put together. As you would probably expect, this is very low budget. David, I think, is doing this on his own dime. And so he has to take paying work and then comes back to it. Paying work comes back to it. And that's why and having been a filmmaker one time, I know all about that. We did talk about some TV stuff, TV ideas like we had done before. I don't know where that's going to go, but he is still working on it. And that's good to know. And so I did send him some additional people that he might want to talk to, former guests. But I'm not going to name any of them because I don't know which ones he's going to contact. So I gave him a list of maybe some other people he could talk to if he wanted to include them in this documentary that he's making as well. Now, what's going to be really funny about this is that when it does come out, whenever it is, when he interviewed me, my hair was about right here. In fact, we even talked about that. It was somewhere in here and now it's way down here. So that's just going to show how long it was ago that he interviewed me. I don't know what you can do about that, but, we had a little bit of a chuckle about that because it's something that actually has been on my mind. I knew I hadn't talked to David for a long time. And then he emailed me last week and, or texted me and said, "Hey, you have time to talk next week?" Sure. And I was like, "Oh, he's still working on it." And then I thought about that interview and I thought, "Oh yeah, that'll be interesting when it comes out." Who is that guy wearing that Unfound shirt? It doesn't look like the guy who now hosts Unfound. So he's still working on it. Cannot tell you when it will be done, but I'll be very interested to see it when it is done. Karen says in Toronto, don't leave your apartment home without a mask. I'm sorry to hear that, Karen. As you all saw, moving on, I did an Unfound Now for the disappearance of 5-year-old Michael Vaughn from Fruitland, Idaho. It's the first Unfound Now I've done where it was a really, really young person, 5 years old, little child. And so I hope you check that out once again right here on this YouTube channel. And I didn't just talk about it, but I looked at the map and took a look at the surrounding area. Just gave my opinions on what I see, once again, from looking at so many maps for so many disappearances. But I think overall, I think in covering that, I think it once again shows why we don't cover many small children disappearances on the program. There's just so many variables. So many things that can go wrong when covering a disappearance. I was happy to do an Unfound Now on it because I didn't have to interview anybody. That, of course, like I've said many times, big problem with child disappearances is because a lot of times the parents are responsible. I'm not saying that I believe that with Michael's, but being that you can never be too sure and everything, it makes it tough on who you can trust. So it was nice to be able to take the opportunity to cover a child disappearance because we just don't do that much on the regular episodes. So please check that out. And you will find next Unfound Now will, of course, be at the end of October if I can find the time. October is going to be a very busy month. And now maybe you're understanding why I mentioned that at the top of the show is that next week will be my last kind of regular week because the week after that, I'll be driving to Louisiana and back. So like Monday morning until like Tuesday or Wednesday early morning. I don't know what I'm going to be doing there, but I'm thinking that Friday I'm going to actually replay because I just don't know if I'm going to be able to get an interview done and edit it and everything. I just don't know. I just don't know how much time I'm going to have that week. So I'm probably going to replay the Steve Pankey episode from 2 years ago. And that would be fitting since I'm going there the next week. So that can kind of set everybody up. If you missed it the first time around, you get to listen to it. And, it'll kind of all be in one package there. And I will add in some commentary about me going to Greeley, Colorado and all of that for that. And of course, the next week, I have a couple days, Monday, Tuesday, but I am flying out there on October 20th, which is a Wednesday. So it could be that I do the live show from out there if I have the opportunity to do that. But how I'm going to get a regular episode done that week, whether I interview somebody or not, I don't know. Because I surely will not be able to, I'm sure being out there that, I could be there. I'm supposed to come back on that Saturday. So it's either going to be Thursday or Friday where I'm seemingly going to get called in to testify, but you don't exactly know when that is. So I'm guessing it's going to be a lot of sitting around at the courthouse. I'm not going to be able to get any work done. So I haven't figured out what I'm going to do as far as an episode or anything that week. So we'll just have to see. And so when it comes to the next Unfound Now, which is due at the end of October, it's just a weird. October is going to be a weird month. Probably the weirdest month since Unfound got started. Screaming says, hard to believe it is almost October already. It is, Screaming. A little bit is Michael Vaughn, the one they called Monkey. Yes, that's right, little bit. Coffee. Wish I knew more about how he got away from his parents and who saw him walking away and why that person didn't do anything. I talked about that in the video. I don't know what to tell you, Coffee. For any of those Unfound Nows, I'm just going by public information. I don't have any, in none of them did I have any information behind the scenes or anything like that. And in fact, that's kind of what I'm not trying to do with Unfound Now. I'm trying to just use the public information to analyze it and just show everybody how I personally, and even when I discuss it with my assistants or other people who, take an interest in disappearances, how we look at these things when we see public information. So, Coffee, I just don't know what to tell you. And that's why that was one of the topics. That was why that was one of the topics for that Unfound Now. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Cherie. Missing piece in that disappearance is how he got so separated from his parents. Yeah, we just don't know. And I once again, I try not to do too much speculation in those Unfound Nows. I really do. So there's that. Jasmine, do you think talking about Steve on the live shows might be used against you in his defense? What have I said? If his defense attorney is, watching, I don't know what I've said. I haven't said anything that I didn't say before. And in fact, I will tell all of you this is that I think I think his attorney, at least from my point of view, should be happy that I'm going out there and that I am getting called, because I think most people know I've said that if Steve is told the truth in the interview, then it's hard to understand how he killed Janelle Matthews. I've said that. But it all is, of course, dependent on the fact that he told the truth in the interview, which may not be the situation, but I wouldn't know that or not. I've been told by some people, who suspect that he didn't tell the truth. And Steve does like to talk and everything, but as I've said more than once, there's nothing that I've heard to put him on that street at that time. At least before I did the interview. I have heard things since, but I don't know if those are facts or not. So I think that a defense attorney would want somebody like that to be on the stand, especially if it's a prosecution witness who says, you know what, I did the interview and there was nothing in here that I heard that was contradictory. And if you told the truth, then it's a hard way. It's hard to understand how he killed Janelle Matthews. I've said that. However, I'm saying that only being in the public like the rest of you. I think the district attorney and the prosecutor and the investigators and everybody else know more than all of us know. I'm thinking. Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. All I know is what I know. I know how the interview got done. And it's really all I've talked about. Like you were trying to start trouble. I am not trying to start trouble. I think I fulfilled my obligation to the DA in saying that we had this talk a few weeks ago, and really, I don't even know how much of it is technically off the record or secret or private or confidential or anything like that. But I've defaulted to the side of I'm not talking about it. Even though they didn't say I couldn't. They didn't say either way, but I'm defaulting to the side of I'm not telling you what they asked me. And that will be the same thing if the defense attorney contacts me between now and when I go out there. It will be the same way if he's watching. If you want to talk to me, I'll talk. And I'll be confidential as well. Whatever. Little bit from what I was told, he went to a friend's house, is what I've been told. You mean for Michael Vaughn? Very well may be, a little bit. Very well may be. Sure, I keep saying Charlie Shuri. I think it will be a very interesting case to watch, and I hope it's picked up by someone much more complicated than some of the others I've seen lately. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, Natasha, my assistant Natasha, interviewed me this Saturday, and she had been talking about doing it for a while, but I think maybe on Thursday she goes, hey, you know what, are you ready to do this? And I was like, yeah, I'm always ready to talk. So we did that. It was 53 minutes, and we had a good time with it. There was only a few questions that I knew she was going to ask me before the interview started. And I hope you all enjoyed it. Of course, I do the shows with Dr. Telesco, and of course I do this show every Wednesday, but I don't know how many times, I've really been technically interviewed, where I was really, of course, when I'm with Dr. Telesco, we're talking about a disappearance, and it's not a lot about the program or about me personally or anything like that. Even recently, when we did the most recent show with Dr. Telesco, we're just talking about general missing person topics. So maybe you got to see a little bit different side of me in that interview. And if that's so, that's great. You did notice, maybe you noticed that I was wearing my brand new Judas Priest shirt that I got at the concert a few weeks ago. If you missed that, go back and watch it, and you can just see it like right over here. So, Natasha, I appreciate you bringing that up. We had a good time with it. I think that interview is now posted right here on this channel, and I think it's on the website. And yes, that is my assistant, Natasha, who works on the website and manages the YouTube channel. Natasha. Let's move on. Little Bit asked me if I was going to talk about Brian Laundrie tonight, Gabby Petito. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it. I was going to do it anyway a little bit, but I don't really know how much time that I really want to spend on it. I have to admit that as a guy who does this all the time, I've found most of the coverage pretty disgusting. I think that it has gone. I want Brian Laundrie to be caught. I don't know what he did. If he killed Gabby, I don't know why he did it. I'm sure we can theorize from here until the sun rises here in Florida tomorrow. But the number of people who have gotten on the bandwagon, I've seen it. I have a TV. But the amount of people, the number of people who usually do other kinds of reporting, who have made it a point to add it to their shows, is disgusting. There are enough news sources out there that cover general news to include Gabby's murder. I, of course, have talked about it a couple times, but here we are. I'm an hour and a half into my own live show, and this is what I do for a living, and I'm just getting to it now. Now, granted, that first half hour was filled up with a lot of personal stuff, which all of you have come to expect on this live show. And I think you get a kick out of me talking about things about going on with me, and I do that because I want you to know what kind of person I am. And I think that Cherie and the rest of my assistants will tell you the person that you see on here is exactly who the person is behind the scenes. And so, being that I think that I'm a good guy and I do this for a living, when I see the kind of coverage that this has gotten, it's every disappearance should get more coverage. On the other hand, nobody should ever think that because a disappearance, a murder, a death, anything, because it gets so much coverage, that it's going to be solved. Just ask the parents of Jennifer Kessie, Mara Murray, Brian Schaefer, the families of all the people who disappeared on Flight 370. Coverage does not guarantee solution. Never has, never will. So, being that I know this, I know these people know this. And being that most of them do not do this for a living, my reason talking about Gabby is because this is what I do. The only reason then they're doing it is because it's popular. Is there not enough of their own news to cover? It's one of these things. I don't get on this program and talk about Afghanistan, immigration, inflation, or anything else. I don't care. That they come in to true crime territory for myself, John Lorden, Marissa at The Vanished, the guys at Generation Y. We do this every day. Now, granted, we're not making the money that some of these people are in the big news networks and everything else, but we take our work just as seriously, and dare I say it, we do it just as well. That they come in and do this, and the only reason they're doing it is for ratings and clicks and everything else. You got Dog the Bounty Hunter going down there. Do you think he would be there if cameras weren't there? And it's funny. I have it. I don't even know why this came to me. It's just some of these things. It came to me for some reason today, and I'm not even the biggest fan of her. But I started thinking of the song Paparazzi by Lady Gaga. And if you're familiar with that song, I know it's crazy. Me, Iron Maiden fan, Iron Maiden bread spread, Def Leppard bedspread, and a Lady Gaga song comes to mind. But that song is so good because sometimes it's like, well, who is following who? Is the paparazzi, the camera people, are they following the star, or is the star following the paparazzi? That's really what that song's about. And so that's kind of what I think when I think of the coverage of Gabby Petito's case. These people who are famous, the only reason they're getting involved is because there's cameras and microphones there. And I think it's disgusting. And I know Dog the Bounty Hunter, for example, has been doing this for a long time and everything. But is he not more of a reality show star than like a real working person now? So, it's, I have it written in my notes. For all those people who have latched onto this, they wouldn't give a DAMN to any other disappearance out there. This comes along and they're like all in. Well, we got to do this. We got to do this. I tell you what, you do you, we'll do us. Okay? You do you, we'll do us. You stick to what you do, we'll stick to what we do, and everybody will be fine. Because, and if you've seen it, and the thing is, what they don't realize is they're only damaging their own credibility when they do this, because you see it, and all these people who say it are right. Well, why is she getting so much attention, and why are all these others not? And and I'm glad I can say that between myself and, once again, the programs that I kind of know about, even like you said, I don't really listen to other true crime stuff. But the programs that I think that I know, the best thing about all of them is that they take everybody. They don't care. Same way we do. If a disappearance has never gotten an article written, isn't on NamUs, isn't on Charlie Project, I don't care. It's clear to me that most of these people covering disappearances like at Gabby's do care. And when they do this stuff, they only these media people only undermine themselves. And I don't see how they don't see that. So that's my attitude on it a little bit. Where is Brian Laundrie? I have no idea. Dog the Bounty Hunter thinks he figured out where he is. And I have no confidence in any of these people. I have no confidence in any of them. And he may be alive. He may be deceased. Maybe his family helped him get away. I don't know. I would not be surprised if his parents helped, because we've covered many disappearances on Unfound where parents have helped, I think, their children get away with murder or something, or given their children an alibi or something. That surely has happened. So it's not outside of the realm of possibility that Brian's parents did that. I'm not saying I know that they did, but my experience says it's possible. Although I have to admit, I don't know all the particulars. So it's a fiasco. And let's understand something else. The reason that Gabby's remains were found so quickly is not because of the coverage. With all this crazy coverage and everything. The reason that she got found deceased and murdered is because Brian drove her van back to Florida and had no real explanation of how he ended up with her vehicle and how she was gone. That's why. It's the circumstances of what happened, not necessarily the media coverage. So you know, I've just, it's just something that I've just tried to, stay away from. Screaming feels the same way. Spleen says a person who likes Judas Priest is fine by me. Love to hear that. Jasmine says, yes, Dog is on the bandwagon. Like I said, is he not? I'm not saying he hasn't, you have to remember how Dog got his start. The first time he ever got on the map is because him and the rest of his people went into Mexico to try to bring somebody back, and they all got put in a Mexican jail. Now, I ask you something. Do you think that he really went down there to get that person, or did he know going down there that he would not be able to bring the person back, but he knew that he'd get thrown in jail and it would make a heck of a story? What makes more sense to you? And I have a good friend of mine. His name is Dave. I went to college with. I've known him for 30 years. Very good guy. And he's totally in a totally different work environment. I'm not going to say what he does and who he works for or anything, but I always, I've tried to tell him, never underestimate the lengths that people will go to get attention. And it's gotten worse because of the internet and everything else. It's gotten worse. And so it's like a bunch of people have become, what is that guy, Johnny Knoxville? Remember way going back to the 90s, that guy on MTV that would do all this crazy stunts and break legs and everything, whatever his name is. It's like we have a bunch of those people these days, just doing anything stupid, things like that to get attention. That's the way I look at it. Well, yeah, Shri says, tell him what you said when I said Dog was in the neighborhood. I'll read it word for word. Where is my phone? I will read it. Yeah. Shri let me know that Dog the bounty hunter was on the trail a few days ago. And here was my response to her. Like I have said, dogs are not reliable, was what my response was to her. So I'm going to take you to the next interview here, Karen, before 11 o'clock. Cherie, I'll remove my comment about other creators. Don't want Ed to yell at me. Don't do that. This morning, Dog was closing it 14 hours later. Absolutely silence. I'm going to keep saying it. They just love their attention. They need it. Where is Geraldo taking us to a dilapidated building in Miami to tear apart a wall? Where is that? I think that was an episode of Miami Vice too. So I don't know where Brian Laundrie is. I don't know enough about him and all of that to really say. What is most important to me about Gabby Petito's, I guess, presumed murder, I guess they're saying it's a murder, is that we need to understand why this type of thing happens. How do two people who are engaged, who decide to go on a cross-country trip, get this van, do all this filming, seem like the two happiest people in the world, how does one end up killing the other? Why does that happen? How does that happen? It's important to me because I know we've covered a ton of disappearances that are exactly like that. I'd like to learn more, but I don't know if we're going to get that. So, one more piece of news. Got to hit that thumbs up. Thank you. One more kind of news, and did you see this story about a woman in a cage? Her name is Cassidy Rainwater. I think she's at least partly Native American, I think. I did not write it down. But she went missing in late July in Missouri. And she had been staying with one of these guys, either James Phelps or Timothy Norton. And a tipster, I don't know how this tipster did it, but tipster let police know that Cassidy was being kept in a cage at this guy's house. Hello, fishing. And, but this woman is now still missing. The police went over there, did not find Cassidy. They did see pictures of her being kept in this cage. And guess what guess what James's and Timothy's story is? Oh, yeah, Cassidy left. She took off with somebody. We don't even know where she was going. She got in a car and just took off. How many times have we heard that story on Unfound? Vanessa Oren is the first disappearance that comes to mind, but I mean, really. Marion Hurley. Eventually, that's even what Angela Green's husband said. But these are what these two guys said about Cassidy Rainwater. Yeah, she took off. You know, the tough part for me in reading a story like this is that, you know, I'm guessing that this is going to cause then more families to think that their loved one, especially women, that's what happened to them. And my impression is that this is just as rare can be. But I can almost make a prediction in the upcoming months when we come across women like Cassidy Rainwater, and they're going to, because this is a national story too, not getting the attention of Gabby Petito, I might add. But I can almost guarantee that this will be a story that somebody's going to ask me about. Do you think it's possible? And it's going to put me in the position where I'm going to have to say, no, I don't think that's possible. This is like when people bring up witness protection. I'll have to say, I have no proof either way, but I really don't think so. And here's why. So, but it is a weird story, but what caught my attention was what these two guys said. Yeah, she took off with somebody. That's how many times have you heard that? And of course, we usually think that is totally untrue. And I can't help but thinking that this is unfortunately untrue with Cassidy's disappearance as well. So that was something. If you haven't seen that story, please check it out. Once in Cassidy Rainwater, the two suspects, James Phelps and Timothy Norton. Yes, before you leave tonight, we're almost done here. Got about 10 minutes. Please give this video a thumbs up as you are watching. So let's move on to this Friday's disappearance. As I mentioned earlier, this is a disappearance that John Lorden covered a couple years ago, I think in January or February of 2019. It's the disappearance of Kevin Nguyen, Nguyen. I think that is how it's pronounced. You will see news accounts where it is pronounced Nugent or Nugan or something like that. The guest and I decided that we would say Kevin Nguyen. And, I looked that up online and looked it up on YouTube, and that is the most popular pronunciation of it. So that's what we're going to go with. And being that this guest knows the family, that's how he says it. So that's how we're going to say it. Kevin Nguyen disappeared from Fort Wayne, Indiana on December 8th, technically the early morning of December 9th of 2018, which is Sunday. A friend of the family, and he's also an amateur sleuth named Brett. We will not be using his last name. Is the guest. He has been corresponding with Kevin's family for about 2 years. He's gotten to know them very well. He has sent me a lot of information, discussions that they've had, a lot of pictures and things, a lot of notes that he has taken, that they have taken. And he contacted me back in August. And he says that he contacted quite a few podcasts. And I think I was one of the few that got back to him, which I don't understand why that is. But I think that's what he says. And So Kevin, this disappearance plays out very much like TJ Murray's, which we covered at the beginning of this year, in that Kevin went out to a bar, seemingly, allegedly, had some issues going on at the bar, got kicked out, seemingly went for a walk, caught him on video, and somehow or another, he ended up back at that bar, the Brass Rail, where allegedly got kicked out again. In fact, allegedly got kicked out of the bar 4 times. That'll be up for you to decide whether you believe that or not. There's a story that he got into a fight with bouncers at the bar outside in the parking lot. But then at about 2:40 a.m. on December 9th, he is seen walking by himself several blocks from this bar, headed in the general direction of his house, although it would have been a considerable walk, like 4 miles, and the temperature got down into the teens that night in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And he was never seen again. So if you know TJ Murray's disappearance, it sounds kind of the same. He went to a bar, had some issues, got kicked out, and he also disappeared after walking away from a bar. However, this disappearance also has similarities to Shane Fell's, Deborah Bowman's, Crystal Morrison's, and to a lesser extent, Chance Engelbert's and Rebecca Gary's, in that we have a situation where Kevin called for a ride. He was at the Brass Rail. He called for a ride, and he walked off right around the time that his ride showed up. I never knew this was going to be a thing when I started Unfound. I didn't know it was a thing, that there were disappearances in which somebody calls for a ride, the ride shows up, and the person isn't there. Could have never suspected that 5 years ago. But now we've covered at least 4 disappearances like that. The name of this episode is called The Telephone Game. 2 reasons. One, because of the calling aspect of this disappearance. He called somebody and then he wasn't there when the person showed up. And also because you, the listeners, are going to be challenged on whether you believe all of the stories that it came out of that night of what Kevin allegedly did. Do you believe them to be true, half true, not true at all? And I think all of you as adults know what the telephone game is. It's kind of a gossip game to see if everybody can continue to tell the same story as a story goes around a ring of people, the telephone game. So that is this Friday's disappearance. Kevin Nguyen, Fort Wayne, Indiana, technically December 9th, 2018. Friend of the family and amateur sleuth Brett is his name. And the title of the episode is The Telephone Game. So that's all I have for tonight. Seems like, Sharif, had your hands full with some timing out people late in this show. It's weird how that always gets started, like right at the end. I don't know what that is. But what did we do tonight? Talked about why this show almost played on Thursday, tomorrow, but of course it played at its regular time and day. Disc golf. Talked about this girl that I was kind of interested in who died. Dentist, doctor next week. Lottery tonight. Drawing will be in 5 minutes. Nicholas Shinn poll, the newsletter. John Lorden getting mentioned there. PowerPoint that I completed. David Fine, the documentary filmmaker. Unfound Now. My interview with Natasha. Talked about Gabby Petito. Talked about Cassidy Rainwater. And then once again, finished it up with this Friday's episode, the disappearance of Kevin Nguyen. And there will be a YouTube video that will come out Friday morning concerning Kevin's disappearance, another map analysis. That's all I got. Thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up before you leave. Patreon.com/Unfound Podcast. PayPal.me/Unfound Podcast. And you'll hear me Friday, and then I will see some of you on Sunday night. Keep your head on a swivel. Good night.